Oh, please don't talk about wormholes connecting universes. That is absolutely retarded.
I mean, yeah, 3D, but I don't know.
He really doesn't know.
I don't know. Okay.
don't know. In fact,
Oh my God, too perfect.
This is what you pay for, right? This is the full
bizarre.
DSP experience.
So
Is the fire alarm gonna go off next?
I thought that we were going to be reacting to Dark Side Phil misunderstanding science, but we're literally reacting to Michio, what the fuck are you talking about, science? No.
Oh my God,
our universe with
Oh my God, my brain's hurting from the wrong person. How much money does this guy make to explain science to people and leave them dumber than before they listen to him?
when I was younger, I used to think everything was certain, everything was drawn out, everything was proven.
Why?
Because he's an idiot.
No one told you that, and if they did, they lied.
DSP, then why do we have fucking scientists?
Yeah,
if
why do we
know
have college?
everything? You see, this is what Michio Kaku does.
God damn it.
Is he fucks up people.
So DSP thinks because the gravity inside of a black hole is so powerful that the stuff being sent into it is actually going into a different dimension, thanks to our buddy Michio.
Oh, that's
here.
awesome.
Oh.
Michio, thank you, Michio Kaku, you cocksucker.
Like, do you even think Only Iced Coffee is really ready to drop enough money for 50 gifted subs? Oh yeah. Is Alfred listening? But because I was informed yesterday that DSP had been paid through Patreon to react to a science video, like a space video that dealt with like black holes and things, but I haven't seen it. And if Alfred is here, I would really like his input on this because that's his wheelhouse.
Your private video.
Okay, come on in, Alfred. We can look at this. Guess there's no audio in this intro here.
All right.
There is.
Hello and welcome.
Uh-oh.
I actually don't know what string theory is.
Of course you
There's a lot to learn.
don't.
Is there anything he does know?
No,
go.
I think it's a very short list of what he does know. He knows Street Fighter, but he's
beyond
bad
our
at it.
reach Using Einstein's equations. We need a higher theory, and that's where string theory comes
Hold
in.
on.
String
We got an echo. I got my speakers on.
Oh, great.
We certainly don't need a giant echo chamber. All right, ready?
Okay.
theory
You
takes
already have that.
Before the Big Bang.
Okay.
Before Genesis itself. And what does string theory say? It says that there is a multiverse of universes.
Oh.
Really?
Where did the Big Bang come from? Well, Einstein's equations give us this compelling picture that we are like insects on a soap bubble, a gigantic soap bubble which is expanding,
Okay.
and we are trapped like flies on flypaper. We can't escape the soap bubble.
Huh.
And that's
Well,
called
that's
the
a
Big Bang
very
theory.
poor analogy.
Really?
When a universe splits in half, it can create two universes, and that, we think, is the Big Bang.
So what he's
The Big
talking about
Bang.
is infinite inflation.
Uh-huh.
So the soap bubble analogy is the fact that our space itself is expanding. But I think he's doing this so dintheads like DSP can maybe have a chance of getting the analogy, but looking at DSP's face, I don't think it's working.
Why is Alfred hanging out with us? Because he has a background in this stuff, and it really fascinates him, especially when idiots react to it.
Now, this begs the question, where did all the universes come from at first? What created them to begin with?
Of course.
What,
He's
where-
gotta
on what
undercut
plane
it.
Or where are they floating about?
Gotta
colliding
undermine
and
it.
separating?
Who's behind
If there are other dimensions.
Yeah, but like, who's
if
behind
there
that?
are other universes, can we go between universes? Well, that, of course, is very hard. However, Alice in Wonderland gives us a possibility that maybe one day we might create a wormhole.
Oh, please don't talk about wormholes connecting universes. That
This
is
is a
absolutely retarded.
Think of taking a sheet of paper.
It's like that
And
scene
putting two
in
dots
Event
on it.
Horizon where they fold the
The
paper.
shortest distance between 2 points.
Yeah, but that's
is a
still
straight
in the
line.
same universe.
Fold the
But if
paper.
I can fold that sheet of paper, then perhaps I can create a shortcut. A shortcut through
Between two
space
places in
and
the same
time,
universe.
called a wormhole. This is a genuine solution of Einstein's equations. We can actually see this in string theory. The question is, how practical is it to go through one of these things?
And for me, thinking about
What bothers me is this is being billed as like an explanation for string theory, but it's a very, very tiny facet,
this,
and it's not even expressed
you're
accurately.
making a lot of assumptions. You're assuming, I mean, a piece of paper is a 3D object, but it's a 2D plane on a 3D object. See?
What?
So when you say fold the paper, I mean, yeah, 3D, but I don't know.
He really doesn't know.
Oh god.
I don't
Thanks,
know if that
Phil.
could work.
I don't know. I don't. Okay.
We don't know. In fact,
Oh my God, too perfect.
He's like the guy. If Star Trek was really dumb, there would be like a DSP guy in there who'd be like, "Huh, I don't even know if that would like work. I don't know." And the other science officers would look at him and be like, "Who let this guy in here?"
there's a debate among physicists today. Stephen Hawking, many physicists
I
are
don't
jumping
know.
into the game, trying to figure out whether it's physically possible to go all the way through a wormhole.
You could with quantum teleportation of energy states, but that's about the only way.
Yeah.
You would have to entangle your atoms
All
with
of
atoms
them.
on the other side and use quantum teleportation of information, which, by the way, we've actually done here on Earth. We've quantum teleported information across, even from Earth to the space station. So it's possible we're one step away from a teleporter. The other 99 quadrillion atoms that make up your body.
Right. So that was kind of expressed in Mass Effect. The communicator that they used was an entangled particle. So you had one state on the ship and you had the other state wherever you sent the signal, and it could create FTL communication.
Yeah, that would work great, except for you'd only be able to get one word out, and then you would stop entangling the state.
Oh.
Then you
it's
might be
kinda like
able to
that.
use this as a time machine.
Oh
So string
God.
theory is a
What
theory of
Froze. You saw it, right?
In time.
everything.
The video froze. What the hell?
I think that's just
What
your
the
brain
hell?
slowing down DSP as it overheats from the information.
Oh my
My
God.
Xbox just freeze?
I thought
It
these
did.
guys were smart.
What just happened?
Why'd you leave this in, bro? He restarted
my
his
God.
Xbox because
I was
the
watching
YouTube
the
video
and
app
my
crashed.
Xbox turned
So
off.
literally time travel like he's talking
Why?
about is not what you would think.
Right.
When he says time travel, you're thinking, oh, we could go to the future or back in time.
Xbox Series
What he
X
means
goes
is you're
to
changing
box
your
with
frame of
string
reference.
theory.
So for example, if you're looking at a galaxy that is 400 billion light years away, and you go in a wormhole to that galaxy, it's still the same period of time as it is now. But you're technically traveling 4 billion light years ahead in terms of our frame of reference of that galaxy.
Right.
What the heck?
Because you're just seeing the light that bounced off it reaching you.
Exactly. So it's time travel in relation to your light cone or reality cone, but that's about it.
Man, this is so scientific. I like how it's a video reacting to science, and he can't even
Weird to
figure
say
out
the
like
least. That was really weird.
the equivalent to a toaster in his
This
home.
Patreon's getting his money worth.
Well, I guess we'll continue.
Yeah, I
hope
guess.
the video will come back up.
This is what you pay for, right? This is
freaking
the full
bizarre.
DSP experience.
So
Is the fire alarm gonna go off
Back.
next?
Could you imagine being married to this
here it
man
is.
and having to rely on him for major
God.
decisions in your
I don't think
life?
she does. I think that cabinet
Alright,
that broke, I think it's still
try
broken.
again.
And what else
All
can
right.
we do
Welcome back, Michio.
Let's fast forward here.
as a time
This just seems like this guy is like trying to explain how like the Spider-Verse could work in real life. He's like kind of being, it sounds like he's being forced into a narrative, and it really doesn't have a whole lot to do with string theory.
He actually isn't even talking about dimensional travel. He's talking about travel within the same universe.
Yeah,
not even a multiverse.
The closest thing he can think of is a wormhole, and so he's trying to just shoehorn that into
I mean,
this.
frankly, this is the dent head version of.
Yeah, you can't really blame him. He's really just, he's having to boil it down to just the lowest common denominator.
But that's like boiling
Right.
down geography to cooking.
You
He's
know.
not even talking about the same thing.
theory is a theory of everything. It's also a theory of time. And time machines are allowed in Einstein's equations, but to build one is extremely difficult. Far more energy is required than a simple DeLorean with plutonium.
Oh, God damn it. I called it. What an idiot. He just looks at the DeLorean and just instant goat laugh.
Back to the Future.
Back to the Future. I saw that movie.
You know, trillions of years from now, the universe is going to get awfully cold. We think the universe is headed for a big freeze. At that point, all intelligent life in the universe must die.
What a terrible
The
graphic.
laws of
blowing up?
physics or a death warrant to
It's gonna be, it's gonna be very cold. Everything will die by blowing up in fire. That wasn't a very good representation of that.
Well,
anyway.
we try to find some way to heat things up, huh?
There's only one way to escape the death of the universe, and that is leave the universe. So you're now, of course, entering the realm of science fiction, but at least we now have equations. The equations of string theory
That
which will
do
allow us
not
calculate
relate to
if
what you're
it is
talking
possible
about.
to go through a wormhole, to go to another universe.
No,
where it's
the same
warmer,
universe,
and perhaps
Michio.
we can start
Oh my
all over
God.
again.
And if okay, I was just playing another video by accident. If string theory is correct,
That basically made like dumb people even dumber, didn't it? It's a bad video.
So string theory is literally talking about the levels of freedom that you have. So various strings are vibrating in various ways that are on a basically one-dimensional plane, and those strings make up all of the energy dimensions and particles. It's extremely complicated. There are various forms of string theory, like M theory, which is kind of what he was very badly going on about. But none of that has anything to do with wormholes connecting to multiple dimensions.
No.
None of that has anything to do with actual time travel. This was literally Discovery TV right in between My 600-Pound Life and Dr. Pimple Popper.
Oh my god, that was 1.2 million views from 8 years ago, and it's called Michio Kaku Explains String Theory. It was in 4 minutes. Like you think you would know everything if you saw that video, but of course not. Like,
He literally didn't talk about a single aspect of string theory.
oh, that's clickbait right there.
and is real, right?
Ugh.
Then what's to say this hasn't already happened? What's to say
Oh my god.
that
what?
we aren't in another dimension from where we started?
Oh,
What?
what? Again, he's just like just has to undercut everything, even if it doesn't make any sense.
Right? Or that
Which dimension did you come from, Phil? Are you trying to tell us something?
there are other things in a dimension that you know what I mean?
No.
Like perhaps this already happened and we're just not aware. We lost the knowledge of it or whatever. Interesting and fascinating theory, right?
Maybe in his dimension
the
he's
next one is
actually
this
good at video
and
games compared to other
just so
people.
you'll see,
Yeah, he does seem like someone from a different dimension, doesn't he?
I
From
played
the
just a
Mojo
few
universe.
seconds of each video so that when I go into the app here, it shows the video that I played, so I know that's the right one. Problem is, this one has a really low volume, and I don't know why. So let's play it
Tell
and
me
try
about
to
it.
adjust it properly, because it's barely able to be heard.
Put it on your ears. Oh my god. Wow, really, Phil? What the?
Let me tell you a story. When I was a child growing up in San Francisco area, I used to visit a Japanese tea garden and visit the carp swimming just beneath the lily pads in a two-dimensional pond. We are the fish. We spend all our life in three dimensions. We go forward, backward, left, right, up, down, thinking that anything beyond our pond, anything beyond our little puny universe is science fiction. We say, bah, humbug. We can't say that anymore.
Right.
because
So what he was talking about there is an extremely bad analogy for what he's trying to talk about. So the koi swimming around in the pond, that's basically a single dimensional being that's trying to look up into another dimension. So dimensions of freedom is what dimension means. For example, 3 dimensions, we can go up, down, left, right. 3 dimensions of freedom. 4 dimensions means there's a time component.
Right.
5 dimensions all the way up to 11. What he's actually being asked here is about multiple dimensions in terms of different universes. He's answering a completely different question than was asked to him by the interviewer.
So every dimension has those 11 dimensions?
So dimension is supposed to be how many degrees of freedom do you have?
Right.
At 2 dimensions, you can only go left and right, forward and backward on
Right,
a
that does get
two-dimensional sphere.
confusing.
Then you have 3 dimensions, 4 dimensions. So for example, if I were to look at you from the 4th dimension at your life as a 3-dimensional being,
It would be like a worm. You would see everywhere I've been and everywhere I go
and
forward.
you would look like a worm that's trailing through space, spiraling, because you're on the Earth and it's going around the galaxy and the galaxy is going around the universe. You would literally be this long trailing worm that ages and dies. That's all the dimensions of freedom you have. So what string theory is we found a way to mathematically explain our universe, but it requires at a minimum of 11 dimensions, 11 degrees of freedom that is required for stuff to work. What he was asked about is the concept of quote unquote different dimensions, as in the Spider-Verse, right? Peter Parker is now a black guy that is a lawyer that happens to be gay.
Black lawyer.
Right? What that is more of what he was talking about in the last video, which is like the soap bubbles that are popping up. And that comes from not string theory, but from something called inflation. So you know how our universe is growing at a faster and faster rate?
Right.
That's dark energy. That's cosmic inflation. The same thing happened right after the Big Bang. The universe grew from the size of nothing to much larger than the observable universe that we can see today in a matter of seconds. That's happening continuously throughout all of space and time. So that's truly the multiverse that he was asked about. But this denthead fake scientist is answering poorly, by the way, a question about dimensions of freedom
in one universe,
which is a extremely terrible analogy, almost as bad as his analogy of using a wormhole with to reach into another universe. That's how dumb this analogy is. So
someday our universe is going to get so cold, everything's going to die. We're going to have to use a wormhole to save us. We're like, where else are you going to go?
Connects to the same dead universe, asshole. I thought that we were going to be reacting to Dark Side Phil misunderstanding science, but we're literally reacting to Michio, what the fuck are you talking about, science?
Yeah, this is basically what they call pop science. Like he's trying to cram string theory into pop science to answer a question that like a commenter on YouTube said, which is like, what if Black Spider-Man, basically? And he's like, string theory, I guess everything is possible. Here we go.
That's fascinating because how many times when you're growing up or you're in school and you're taught, nah, this is just definitively true or false what you're learning, right? Oh, you're learning a formula, you're learning this, and now you grow up and you come out and find out actually a lot of the things that we know that are scientific are based on assumptions that always just work. But they just work. Why? We don't know. We actually don't know the explanation behind everything. We think, oh, science is you know.
Whoa. DSP, I don't think you were told in school that we know everything, and now once we grow up we realize we don't know everything. Like that was never in question.
So foolproof and everything. And in reality, we've guessed a lot, and since the guesses keep working, we just make that like he said, make that a constant in the equation that's manually entered in. But what is the constant? What does it mean? We don't know.
What?
So you got to assume there's more than just the 3 dimensions we know, and that's fascinating.
DSP doesn't realize that we know that the 4th dimension is time. Okay, not surprising, I guess.
An adult now and knowing that. When I was younger, I used to think everything was certain, everything was drawn out, everything was proven.
Why?
Because he's an idiot.
No one told you that, and if they did, they lied.
DSP, then why do we have fucking scientists?
Yeah, why do we have college?
Everything?
Like, why do we have education? Why did you go to school if you already know everything?
And now it's kind of the opposite. Your mind gets blown.
Well, he still feels like he knows everything.
As you get older, you realize that's not the case.
A beautiful crystal shatters and lands on a tabletop. And they're little insect-like flatlanders living on this tabletop. And they say, let us reassemble the crystal.
Man, he's really bad at analogies.
And then they have one crystal. It's called the quantum theory. They assemble other pieces of the crystal.
Why do you laugh at that?
Relativity. But they don't fit together until you go into hyperspace. And then they fit together beautifully.
So when they fit together, what does that mean? We now learn.
Yeah, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, this guy has interviewed people who have articulated this a lot better. If you don't know who this guy is, what's his channel called? You watch it a lot.
Closer to the Truth.
Yeah, Closer to the Truth. This guy goes around. He's basically like a real life Ian Malcolm. He even looks like the dude, right? He even dresses like him. But he goes around and he interviews not just scientists, but philosophers, like ethicists.
Oh, yeah. This has got to be painful for him to sit here and listen to what's supposed to be a celebrated scientist describe so poorly and disjointedly various theories and then come up to absolutely no point.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really get his reaction if you don't know his typical reaction, but what
you go into hyperspace, and then they fit together beautifully.
So
what he's doing, you
look
can
at
sense
his expression.
Yeah, he's kind of frustrated. He's like, he's trying his best to help him out because other people are so much better at explaining this.
Fit together. What does that mean?
Basically, he's questioning him, and he's like, "This is like the equivalent of being like bullshit." You know, it's like calling him out, kind of.
We now learn that we need 10 or 11 dimensions, only 3 of which, or 4 can include time, that we have.
Oh, I like it. I like it. That's like a sneak diss.
It
He's
is.
like, oh, we only have like 3 dimensions. Well, I mean, we have 4.
Slap,
'Cause we know
bitch.
what time is, but like,
When the universe was first created, a single superforce held this crystal together, but then we had the Big Bang. which
Quantum field
shattered
theory.
this
What
crystal,
broke
giving
it?
us the shattered
Inflation broke it, DSP. Inflation broke it.
it was Thor with the hammer.
You know, like what's been happening to your wife's waistline? That's cosmic inflation, DSP, and how it's happening more and more rapidly. And eventually it's going to cause the death of your relationship. There's a good analogy.
Well, isn't it? In this case, it's like the outside pressure of the outside universes are pulling outward from the inside, and that's what causes it to.
So
to
inflation,
kind of rupture.
we're not positive, but our best guess, there's various 0 points of energy. Everybody here has probably watched Stargate. They're looking for the ZP, the 0 point energy module. What that is it's a object that can literally get energy from the base 0 of the universe, the base 0 energy. Now, of course, if they actually did that, it would set the lowest point in our energy in our universe below the current floor, and it would destroy the universe.
Right, that's the problem they had in the show. They couldn't have that many ZPMs.
Well, if you only had one and used it once, the universe would collapse, starting with all matter and energy from that point at the speed of light going outwards and erase absolutely everything. Now, what's nice is as long as that happens in our universe past 14.7 billion light years away from us outside of our event horizon, it won't matter. It will never reach us because it is expanding away from us faster than the speed of light thanks to inflation.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. You said at some point in the future we wouldn't be able to look out and see stars from our planet.
We never will be able to for 99.99% of the universe from now on, other than the very small period of time that we're living in. So we're at 4 or 5 billion years away from not being able to see any other stars at all. And we're only 14 billion years into the universe from creation. And the universe is going to be around trillions. So since expansion is going to keep happening, people on Earth that were born later or on other planets that are born later are going to look up and they're going to see a black sky.
It's pretty creepy. Having to add so many filters to this to fix it.
You know what's fascinating is, I'm starting to think about what could the other dimensions be, and you think about things.
Oh boy, Big Brain Phil is gonna try and explain higher dimensions beyond time. Like, do we have an idea of like the other? What is it like 8 dimensions?
Yeah, they're actually going to be just like our dimension, except for with additional degrees of freedom. So it's hard to imagine additional degrees
Right.
of freedom,
It's
except for
impossible.
like this. Imagine that you were stuck crawling your entire life and you couldn't jump, like in certain video games, right? You were stuck on the ground. And then all of a sudden, one day, you got the ability to jump or crawl over objects. Well, that's an additional degree of freedom. That's something that you can experience growing up, right? Wow, I can get on top of the couch now. Oh my God, I crawl over this fence.
Yeah.
So
we don't even really have names for it because we can't even conceptualize what that degree would be.
Exactly.
In life, like, you can't really explain, like your dreams. Why do they exist? What do they mean?
We know what? We know why dreams exist. They're your brain decompressing and just like processing all the information basically that you
It's your
input
neural
during the day.
network running simulations based upon the best information that we have now. So we actually have MRI machines that are capable of reading people's dreams pretty accurately. In fact, you can actually show somebody a portrait of a face and use the MRI machine now to draw the portrait of the person's face that they saw on the computer with creepy accuracy. So brain reading's getting pretty close. And dreams, to the best that we can see, is the brain taking all the information that it has and processing it through in various ways to try and unfold meaning. And it's also, of course, getting rid of a lot of the neurotoxins that are built up when you're not actually in REM sleep.
Yeah, because if you don't sleep, that can cause like permanent brain damage.
Yes.
But what DSP is trying to say is like your dreams are a look into another dimension.
He's not wrong in that you can't point to where the dream is in our dimension. There's a lot of people that think that consciousness itself is a separate force, maybe even a separate dimension that is something that is being represented or emerging through our biology is more of a tool for consciousness. That's some stuff that you won't hear Kako talking about because it's a actually high level big brain thought.
Right. He would have to ask, like, what is the evolutionary imperative to having dreams?
Yeah, and why does dreams exist only with consciousness? Why do rocks not dream if it's something that's just inherent to matter? You know, it's something inherent to consciousness, which is an extremely controversial topic as to what consciousness is. The best brain and neuroscientists in the world basically agree that consciousness cannot be accounted for with brain neuroactivity. It's something else. So it's an extremely interesting time right now to try and find out what that is. It has to do with the observer. So like nothing actually happens unless something is observing it. That collapses the wave function, the quantum wave function down.
Right.
And that's what consciousness seems to be as an observer.
Feelings you have that don't really fit into anything else, right? You get a feeling, I just got a feeling about something. Where did that come from? Could that be another dimension we don't know, we can't document, we haven't explained yet?
Possibly.
Pretty fascinating to think about these things in a big picture perspective when you realize not everything in your life can be easily explained by only three-dimensional existence.
A higher dimension.
Bro, you can't even explain, like, your toaster, dude. Try and figure out your wife first before you try and figure out anything beyond the third dimension.
But
She's
it
definitely
eventually
expanding in
cracked
the
apart.
third dimension.
Yeah, it's hyperinflation going on there.
We are still trying to understand. And the three-dimensional world we see today is quite broken. Now, where are these higher dimensions?
Right.
Look at smoke. Smoke permeates throughout a room. Smoke permeates in all three dimensions. But smoke never disappears. Smoke never floats into the fourth dimension. Therefore, a fourth, fifth, sixth dimension has to be smaller than
How do we
smoke.
know it wasn't
But
always in the
atoms
fourth dimension?
also don't suddenly drift away into hyperspace. Therefore, these higher dimensions have to be smaller
No.
than atoms.
No.
Oh my God, our universe with
Oh my God, my brain's hurting from the wrong person. Oh, so I'm sorry, you don't just fall into another dimension. It just exists, asshole. Hey, why don't you just fall into the fourth dimension? Oh, wait, you are existing in it because it's there, you stupid fucking cocksucker. Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
How much money does this guy make to explain science to people and leave them dumber than before they listen to him?
did he just say smoke doesn't exist in the fourth dimension?
No, he says that smoke doesn't disappear into the sixth dimension. Therefore, the sixth dimension has to be smaller than
atoms.
smoke. What the fuck are you talking about? Oh my God.
Okay. So we think that at the
Okay.
beginning of time, there was this perfection of 10 or 11 dimensional hyperspace. But these other dimensions curled up, so small that atoms cannot leak into these higher dimensions. Strings can only vibrate in 10 dimensions. But in the 90s, there was a revolution that it turns out that if you add an 11th dimension, one more dimension, then membranes can exist. Not just little strings, but
M
beach
theory.
balls and golf balls can vibrate.
So that's what he's doing with M theory?
Yeah, so M theory is a branch of string theory that basically says that every dimension, quote unquote, or sub-reality is basically contained upon membranes that occasionally are going to collide. And this denthead is going to try and say that that's where the Big Bang came from, and it would explain why there's variations in the cosmic background radiation. Of course, none of that is true. That's not what M theory actually is. But it's kind of like what you would tell a sixth grader. But this guy's about to tell one of the premier scientists in the world the sixth grader explanation for M theory, and it's going to be absolutely embarrassing.
Yeah, they do have videos like that, or like they escalate the sort of like grade level for each theory.
Yeah, and this guy should not be speaking
At
teenager
such a low
talk
level.
to this man of all people. People that watch this man like me know what the fuck we're talking about. And these explanations actually leave you confused and less informed because they
Yeah.
lower your understanding. It's like dulling your blade.
Yeah, I mean, look at him. He's biting his fingernails. Like, this is the kind of stuff that like can really fuck with someone like his head, because if he thinks there's like multiple dimensions, then that could bring on like nihilism and stuff like that. I don't know. It's like, if not him, then people
You
who
know-
are already prone to such.
You don't even need multiple dimensions for there to be infinite DSPs. So for
Oh
example,
God, no.
And perhaps our universe is a membrane. In which case, perhaps some of these dimensions could be large, perhaps even infinite. So once you go from the 10-dimensional world of strings, where these dimensions are very tiny, and go to an 11 dimension, then you're talking about a whole new picture. A picture whereby some of these dimensions could be huge. And that may even explain why gravity is so weak. Gravity is a very weak force.
No, if it
Perhaps
seeped out.
gravity oozes.
No. If gravity seeped out of the membrane, gravity would fall off at an exponent of 4 instead of 2, because it would be going 50% faster because it had another dimension to seep into. But gravity falls off at an exponent of 2, just like every other force. So that's disproven with a 6th grade knowledge of science. The force of gravity itself is controversial to even call it a force because it's very likely just the curvature of space that's caused by matter being there. Gravity to be a force, there would have to be a gravitron. We've yet to ever find a gravitron. And
a particle of matter or gravity.
And they're talking about gravity seeping out. That if it was truly a force that seeped out, it would fall off at a different scale than other forces. It doesn't. And the explanation to why the forces have different strengths is that's like asking why nuclear force and weak nuclear force are so different, scale of magnitude of billions of times. Because they're different forces, they're different expressions of the quantum wave function.
Oh my
Well,
God.
we think that 11 is the upper limit. Some people actually have looked at 12 dimensions. In 12 dimensions, you have 2 times. But in 13 dimensions, the universe becomes really unstable. I've looked at 13. It's a horrible dimension to work with mathematically. 12 seems to be the limit. And even in 12 dimensions, you have double times.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of that.
Ironically, 13 dimensions works okay so long as you have a mirror reality that's flowing in reverse.
So that would that be the other time?
The other time is basically the other time of the same reality flowing in reverse, right? So it's like the mirror image of that reality. The other reality mirrored would also have a mirrored time, so there'd be quad time with 2 realities.
Time.
But one thing is maybe we can experimentally see some of these objects, because if a universe is hovering just above you, it is invisible to you, light goes underneath, and that may explain dark matter. Dark matter is invisible. It has gravity. The Hubble Space Telescope has given us maps of this invisible matter. Maybe it's nothing but an ordinary galaxy hovering just above us in another dimension.
That's exactly right.
If you read H.G. Wells' famous novel, The Invisible Man, he becomes invisible because he's blown into the 4th dimension. He's hovering just above us.
Why is that funny?
Light goes underneath the invisible man, but he can look down on us. So perhaps dark matter, which makes up most of the matter of the universe, is nothing but ordinary matter of a galaxy hovering in a parallel universe just above us. We are like flies on flypaper. The flypaper represents...
No, you're just shaking your head.
No.
Interesting. I did not know that at all. I didn't know that about gravity. That they're basically saying that it's the only thing that goes across dimensions.
You didn't know that because it's not
their...
true. That's why you didn't know it, because it's not true.
That's pretty cool. Man, it's a lot to think about.
Is it
That there could be so many different dimensions. We only can see and feel 3, but there could be all these other things, these spirit dimensions.
Well,
We actually do have a lot of good data that points to the fact that there are other universes.
but to DSP, it's spirit dimensions, like it's Bleach.
Dimensions. We only can see and feel 3, but there could
Well, we can. Time is the 4th one.
be all these other things, these spirit dimensions, freaking, like he said, other things that we don't know, like what's dark matter, matter from another dimension. That is the reason no light touches it is because light can't touch it because it's from another dimension, and it doesn't really apply. That's just nuts. Okay.
Okay.
Last one here. Could the universe be inside a black hole? I'm gonna try to fit this in. Let's see.
Short answer, yes.
Yes, it very likely is.
Okay. Oh boy. Oh god. I snored.
So while he's searching, what he means by universe being inside a black hole is something called the holographic principle that Susskind has come up with. And basically what it shows is, so for example, if you look at a black hole, the event horizon on a black hole grows as matter falls into it, but it grows exactly at the length of 1 Planck scale per unit bit of information that goes into it, the smallest possible scale. So what's interesting is everything that falls into a black hole is literally encoded informationally on a 2-dimensional horizon, which is its event horizon. So all the 3D material inside a black hole is still there, but it's a 2D informational representation that's encoded on the black hole's holographic exterior, also known as an event horizon. And our universe could very well be a bunch of information that's on a two-dimensional sphere that the three-dimensional representation that we see is nothing more than our grasping at that because our brain hasn't been evolutionarily designed to see the truth.
So basically, we're seeing it as like a stream of data coming from a source.
What we're seeing is basically like a hologram that you shine a light through and you see a 3D image of Tupac, but it's actually all 2D information encoded on a 2D surface. And that's why, for example, quantum entanglement is possible, because they're actually really close together on this two-dimensional horizon. The particles aren't that far apart. The information isn't. That's why that works.
Is this dude related to Einstein? No, but he did go to school for this. He doesn't get very many opportunities to use this information in the real world. So I wanted to allow him to react to this.
So if this is PBS space-time, this is going to be a really great explanation of this.
Okay.
What is
this guy does a lot of
inside
videos.
black hole? Einstein's ridiculously
bullshit.
successful general theory of relativity has never failed. But we know it must fail
DSP, pay
at
attention.
the centers of black
Being
holes
paid
and
for
at the
this.
Big Bang. Both of these involve matter being packed to infinite densities. They are singularities
Biting
where the
his fingers
mathematics of
again.
GR breaks down. First up,
Bite
black
fingers
holes.
again.
Collapse
Oh
in each other
no, he sees black holes on the screen, so he's got to bite his fingers. Oh no, Phil, come on.
matter far enough
Don't
and get
shoot it.
stuck in its own gravity. In general relativity, that looks like a point of infinite density surrounded by an event horizon.
Fascinating, because they were just saying gravity goes between dimensions. So if you get so hard in your own gravity, you create a black.
You see, this is what Michio Kaku does.
God damn it.
Is he fucks up people. So even when they're listening to somebody that knows what they're talking about, they have all this bad information in their brain.
Yeah, it overlaps. And DSP's like, oh, I guess like you could get so hard, you could move between dimensions.
Between dimensions. So if you get so hard in your own gravity, you create a black hole. Could a black hole be the rift between dimensions?
DSP did get
You can think
so
of the event
hard that
horizon
it
as
created
the
a rift
surface
on
where
his
the flow
YouTube
of
channel.
space.
Yeah.
Also, the accelerating expansion of the universe.
God, look at his face. It's like it is kind of
Before they
easy to
cross the
get,
horizon.
right? Well, I guess not.
Also, the accelerating expansion of the universe means that the cosmological event horizon is closer to us than the spot where the recession equals the speed of light. There
So
are
it's sucked into a black hole. That's it. It's over. It ain't.
That's
What?
literally
Oh.
what we were talking about earlier when you asked about the dark skies when you're looking up later on in
Right.
the time. That's exactly what this is.
But that stuff isn't being sucked into a black hole like DSP thinks. No, it's just getting farther away than the light can reach
well,
us.
technically,
Too fast.
the best understanding that we have, which I don't know if this guy agrees with or not, is that the reason that space is expanding is because information's continuing to come into the event horizon of our black hole. And that causes the expansion of the event horizon, just like it does when objects fall into black holes in our galaxy.
Right.
Right? The event horizon grows, and that would account for the expansion of space inside of that.
You're not, nothing's coming out. Can't see past it. You're in there forever. According to what we believe, or we know, I guess, in science. Interesting. By the way, Jack produced.
So DSP thinks like because the gravity inside of a black hole is so powerful that the stuff being sent into it is actually going into a different dimension thanks to our buddy Michio
Oh, that's
here.
awesome.
Now here's a crazy one. Here's a crazy theory. We were just talking about string theory, right?
Oh, no.
What if the Big Bang and the black hole are the same, and it's just that piece of paper folded over, and it's represented in different ways? Maybe one's the in and one's the out. Maybe someone tried to make a time machine and they fucked up space-time.
Before he said that, that wasn't far from what a lot of physicists actually believe.
But the universe was created by Doc Brown, I guess.
And that's what that is.
Oh, and then he smirks. He thinks that theory is like on par with what these guys are saying, basically. He's like, it will let me throw in a monkey wrench into their idea.
And they fucked up space-time. And that's what that is.
He's so proud of himself.
Okay, now that last part probably needs a little more explanation. We've talked
Alright,
about
Phil.
an idea called geodesic incompleteness in a
An
couple of
exploding
episodes.
DeLorean created the universe.
In our recent one on the center of the universe.
Why are you staring at me?
No, that doesn't mean that you are doomed to be
Jasper.
crushed by a black hole.
DSP.
I mean, you might, but you might not.
Huh.
I don't know, DSP. Maybe Jasper is looking at you because your brain is melting, and he's like, "What's wrong? What's going on?"
Not.
Huh.
How do you make a black hole look more like a universe? Well,
You know what this is reminding me of now? Like a choose your own adventure. There's a beginning.
Huh? Okay, what?
universe.
You know what this is reminding me of now? Like a choose your own adventure. There's a beginning. There's always a beginning, but there's different endings. And it's almost like we're all on a time path towards different endings, right?
No, Phil. What are you talking about? No, these don't represent different divergent points in time. Those are different black holes that are in our universe, right?
No, I think what he's trying to make is a very tortured and poor analogy about everybody starts on page 1 of a choose your own adventure
Right.
book, which would be the Big Bang. And then out from there, every geodesic, or in his terms, in his mind, the reader, right, is going to come to a different end of their story because all points lead from there.
Right.
It's a terrible analogy, but actually it made more sense than anything Michio Kaku said.
More like a universe.
Always a beginning, but there's different endings. And it's almost like we're all on a time path towards different endings, right? We could end up in this black hole, this black hole, this black hole, but one day we came out of the Big Bang and we're going to a black hole one way or the other. I think that's kind of what he's saying.
No, that's not what he's saying at all.
Yeah, everyone on Earth is going into the same black hole. I'm sorry to tell you that, Phil.
A time-reversed black hole is easy enough. It's a white hole. And it's a valid
I'm surprised you didn't goat laugh at that one, because I did.
solution to the Einstein equations.
So, wow. We're talking about time travel. We're talking about maybe those are new entry points into the universe from alternate dimensions.
No,
No.
none of that. Oh,
Oh.
Michio, thank you, Michio Kaku, you cocksucker.
Making people dumber.
Maybe those are new entry points from a time traveler.
So what? Like, a black hole is like an entry point from another universe, he thinks now.
That's great.
That
And
cut
time
through
travel somehow.
Yeah.
Dimensional barriers to re-enter our Big Bang universe at different points in time, and they made white hole entries.
Wow, okay, yeah. That's awesome.
Wow, this is interesting. This is very fascinating.
It sure is.
On the other hand, anyone inside the white hole wouldn't know that. So could they be fooled into thinking that they are in a regular universe?
So all he's saying is it could all be exactly the same thing. The black hole, the white hole, our Big Bang universe could all exactly be the same thing, but it just looks different depending on where you are in your perspective. So it looks like, oh, white holes are different from black holes, and we're different, but we're not. We're all the same. Everything's exactly the same. Maybe we are inside a black hole. Maybe it's all one. Like I said, maybe these white holes are entry points into our universe.
What?
And once you leave the parallel universe or the other universe, it just
What?
He's talking about
Destroys-
white holes, but I think he knows a lot more about assholes.
and therefore that's why there's no evidence of any matter inside those white holes, and it's all just one continuous thing moving all together.
If such a white hole was big enough,
That was a word salad. Scratch your ear, dude. He's like he's LARPing as like a 40-year-old went to college and just had to like sit in on a physics class, and he's just sitting there in the chair being like nodding his head and being like, yeah, all I have to do is just sit here and pretend like I know what's going on, and I'm not even going to get quizzed, and then soon the class will be over and I can go eat some DoorDash.
it could look exactly like our universe. There's also the idea that universes are born as white holes produced after the collapse of a black hole.
So by a time
That's
traveler.
Cosmological Natural
the time
Selection
traveler?
by Lee Smolin. So is the universe a black hole or a white hole? Well, probably not, but not absolutely not. There's no good reason to believe that this is the case. Cosmological natural selection might be a path to that, but we also need some evidence for that in order to proceed. However, if we are in a black hole, then there is a huge upside. We now know what the interior of a black
Look at his face. He's like, I think he's looking down at his knee where he has his phone sitting, and he's just like, he has WWE champions there.
we are in a black hole, then there is a huge upside. We now know what the interior of a black hole looks like. It looks like this. And there are indeed libraries in this black hole.
Wow.
Wow. Thanks,
Fascinating. All this stuff is fascinating. You know, I haven't thought about this kind of stuff in a very long time, but
When did you think about this stuff, Phil? At what time?
Yeah, I sit at the toilet, play WWE Champions, and I think about the formation of the universe. And I think he just thinks about like he just fantasizes about he can go back in time and like undo jacking off on a live stream, and it's like, no, Phil, that's never gonna happen.
I like thinking about the big picture stuff.
Do you really though?
Oh,
Well, I mean, he can't not think about the big picture stuff because it's living in his house, and
a
she is.
very big picture.
Not to say that it really affects our daily lives, but it's always good to kind of think about it in perspective to everything else around us. And
Why?
it was nice, awesome.
Peace out. God.
Oh.
What? Oh wow, that was like the most nothing reaction ever. I think we reacted more to Michio Kaku than DSP reacted to the entire series of videos. Closing thoughts, Alfred. What do you think?
I hope that Michio Kaku creates a new career as a Twitch streamer and starts playing video games and getting trolled because he needs to stop fucking up people's understanding of science.
Yeah, unlike this guy from PBS, this guy looks like he reads his comments section, whereas Michio Kaku looks like he pays someone to filter out his comments. Like he just
It
doesn't
must
seem
be
like
the
he's really.
same man that he pays to filter out research papers that make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he's really challenged all that often as sort of like a pop scientist who gets asked like, can an Iron Man suit work? And he's like, oh, well, technically, I guess.
The answer to that, by the way, is no, because of the energy density that would be required to power such an object.
Need an arc reactor. Tony built it in a cave with a box of scraps.